Rain, not the soft, forgiving kind, but the heavy, vengeful kind that drowns even the loudest thoughts. The wipers screeched against the windshield as I stared out, watching the blurry outlines of trees melt into the darkness. We had just left the cemetery. My husband's coffin was barely settled in the earth. And yet,
Ethan
the
drove.
silence between me and
He
my
didn't
son
say
was
a word.
colder than the grave
His
we had
face,
buried him in.
rigid,
Unreadable, was the same face his father wore when he decided something final. The car's clock glowed faintly. 9:43 p.m. We should have been home an hour ago. But the road wasn't leading home. I finally whispered, "Ethan, where are we going?" He didn't answer. Just tightened his grip on the wheel and kept driving. The road narrowed, the houses disappeared. The streetlights thinned until there was nothing but rain and darkness. And then, without warning, he stopped. Gravel crunched beneath the tires. He shifted the car into park, kept both hands on the wheel, and said, with a calm that chilled me to the bone, "Mom, this is where you get out." That's when I knew my husband wasn't the only one I had lost. 3 days earlier, the house had been full of people. Friends, colleagues, officers in uniform, all paying tribute to Richard Hayes, decorated detective, husband, father, hero. They spoke of his bravery, his loyalty, his dedication. But not a single one mentioned the rage that simmered beneath his perfect image. Richard was a man made of rules. He believed in discipline, in order, in control. Especially control. When I first met him, he was charming, commanding even. He had that kind of presence that filled a room, made you feel safe just being near him. But safety can turn into a prison when love turns into ownership. By our 10th year of marriage, Richard's love had curdled into suspicion. He monitored everything, my calls, my spending, my friends. He even read my journals to make sure I wasn't lonely. And when Ethan was born, Richard poured all his pride, all his expectations into that boy. Ethan became his mirror, obedient, disciplined, perfect. I tried to protect him, to soften his father's edges. But Richard didn't raise a son. He trained a soldier. When Ethan was 16, I once tried to intervene after Richard punished him too harshly for skipping curfew. He looked at me with the same cold stare he used on suspects and said, "If you keep undermining me, Anne, he'll never respect you either." And just like that, he built a wall between us. By the time Ethan turned 20, I was invisible in my own home. Richard's career flourished after retirement, private consulting, government contracts, a legacy that stretched beyond the badge. When the heart attack came, I felt two things: grief and relief. The morning of the funeral, Ethan barely spoke to me. He handled everything: the guests, the eulogy, the arrangements. He stood at that podium and praised his father's greatness while I sat in the second row, unnoticed, like a guest at my own life. When it was over, I thought maybe we'd drive home, have tea, talk, try to heal. Instead, he took a left turn out of town, and silence became our passenger. The rain deepened, tapping against the glass like impatient fingers. "Ethan, please tell me what's going on," I said softly. He didn't respond. His eyes were locked straight ahead, dark and distant. After a few more minutes, he pulled the car to the side of a gravel road. He reached into his coat pocket and handed me a small envelope, cream-colored, my husband's handwriting across the front. For Ethan, to be opened only after my death. My blood ran cold. "Where did you get this?" "The lawyer gave it to me," he said. "Dad wanted me to see it and bring you here." "Bring me here? Why?" He didn't answer. He tore the envelope open. Inside was a single sheet of paper and two items: a flash drive and an address. The letter was written in my husband's familiar, precise handwriting. "Ethan, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone. But before you forgive her, you deserve to know the truth about your mother. Take her to the address below. Everything is there." Ethan's voice was shaking as he read it aloud. He looked at me, confusion and anger swirling behind his eyes. "Is it true, Mom?" he asked. "Is there something I should know?" My heart pounded. "Ethan, your father, he wasn't well. You don't have to." He cut me off. "I need to see for myself. He drove the rest of the way in silence. The tires crunched over gravel until they stopped in front of a faded iron gate. It was a property I hadn't seen in 30 years. Our first piece of land together. Richard had bought it when we were newly married, a small acre of forest he said would become our forever home, but we never built anything. The last time we stood here, we'd fought. I'd wanted to move closer to the city, to my family. He called me ungrateful, said I didn't deserve his name. Now we were back. And he had brought me through our son. Ethan parked near a collapsed barn and turned off the engine. Dad said you'd show me what happened here. What do you mean? I whispered. Double quotes. He said this is where you started betraying him. I froze. Ethan, that's not true. He pulled out the flash drive, plugged it into the car's dashboard screen. Grainy footage appeared. Me in our old house late at night talking to someone on the phone. I can't take it anymore. He's suffocating me. Ethan's face hardened. Who are you talking to? I don't know, I whispered. That's not real. He clicked again, more footage. Me walking out of the house, getting into a stranger's car. I gasped. Ethan, he staged that. He had cameras everywhere. Stop lying, he shouted. He told me you were cheating. That you were stealing from him. My world spun. Ethan, listen to me. Your father, he recorded everything. He wanted control. Even after death. He slammed his fist against the dashboard. Then prove it. The car went silent again, except for the sound of the rain and my heartbeat. Then he said, almost in a whisper. He said the truth is buried here. Double quote. And with that, he stepped out of the car. The ground was soaked, the air thick with mist. Ethan took a shovel from the trunk. I followed him through the fog, calling his name. Ethan, stop. You don't know what you're looking for. He turned to me, face wet with rain and tears. He said I'd find the proof under the old oak. My breath caught. That oak tree. We'd once buried a time capsule there when Ethan was 6. A little box filled with his drawings, photos, a lock of his hair. Richard had insisted it be our family treasure. But I remembered something else too, the night we buried it. Richard had made me promise never to open it again. Now Ethan was digging. The rain turned the dirt into heavy mud. His breathing grew ragged. After a few minutes, the shovel hit something hard. He dropped to his knees and dug with his hands. When the box finally emerged, it wasn't the small one from my memory. It was metal heavy. Industrial. He pried it open. Inside were stacks of photographs, all of me. Me cooking, me sleeping, me crying. Hundreds of them. All labeled, time-stamped, analyzed. Some were marked with words like LIAR and threat. Ethan stared, horrified. He spied on you. Yes, I said softly. For years. Double quotes. D kept flipping through. Beneath the photos were letters, all forged, written in my name. I can't live with him anymore. He'll pay for what he did to me. Ethan dropped the papers. He said you confessed. I knelt beside him. He wanted to make sure you'd never trust me again. Why? Because he couldn't stand losing control. Not even to death. Ethan's face crumpled. He fell back, shaking. All this time. I thought you hated him. I pitied him, I whispered. He was drowning in his own fear. He covered his face, sobbing. He told me you didn't love me either. Double quotes. That broke something inside me. I grabbed his hands, forced him to look at me. Ethan, you are my life. I stayed for you. Every time I wanted to leave, I stayed because I couldn't bear the thought of him turning you against me. Double quotes. He shook his head. He already did. Then let's undo it, I said, voice trembling. Right here. Right now. He stared at the box again, then at me. What do we do? Burn it. He blinked. What? Burn everything. The photos, the lies, the evidence. We don't need to prove anything to a dead man. He hesitated. But no, Ethan, the truth doesn't need his permission anymore. He lit a match. The flame caught instantly, devouring the damp papers. The smoke rose, thick and black, carrying decades of pain into the air. The fire reflected in Ethan's tear-streaked face. He made me believe you were the enemy. I touched his cheek gently. He made me believe love was control. We were both wrong. The box collapsed inward as the fire consumed it. The final photograph curled into ash. We stood there, mother and son, watching our past turn to smoke. When the fire finally died, Ethan whispered, "What happens now?" I took a deep breath. Now we start over. Without him, the drive home was silent again, but it wasn't heavy anymore. It was peaceful. For the first time, Ethan looked at me not as his father's wife, but as his mother. When we reached the highway, he turned to me. He left everything to me. The house, the money, the accounts. I smiled faintly. Then use it to build something good, something he couldn't control. He nodded, eyes distant. Maybe I'll sell the house, move somewhere quiet. Good, I said softly. Make a home, not a fortress. That night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The silence felt strange, too soft, too kind. A week later, we buried the last of Richard's belongings. His journals, his weapons, his cameras. Ethan and I worked side by side in silence. When it was done, he hugged me. The first real embrace we'd shared in years. Months passed. The house sold quickly. I moved to a small coastal town where the sea was loud enough to drown out old ghosts. Ethan visits often. We talk about books, music, the weather, ordinary things we were once too afraid to enjoy. Sometimes we drive out to that lonely road again. The oak tree still stands, a little older, a little softer. We never talk about what's buried beneath it. Because the truth isn't always something you dig up. Sometimes it's something you finally let rest.